cat night. Listen, I've heard from all of our people out there in Facebook Live, and we always talk about dogs, but we love cats. I actually have two cats myself, and
we have
five cats and everything like that. And Jennifer, you do cat rescue.
I do.
And so I'd like to hear a little bit about some cat rescue, and also I'd like to say hello to Michelle out there in Florida, who's also a tuxedo cat lover, just like I am, because we have Charlie Tuxedo on our bottle right here. So, hello, Michelle. We love you.
Hi, Michelle.
How you doing, Michelle?
First of all, Danny, I'd like to talk about cats. They're very special. The Egyptians thought they were special. That the history of cats are amazing. But you and I were talking on the Easter lunch about special shampoos that I used one time, and we got in trouble with this. So what makes cats so different?
Well, cats are different for a lot of reasons, Lauriston. As you said, their personalities are obviously different than dogs. We're servants to them, I think, in most cases.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. That's true.
And the help is home when we get home from work. So they just.
Charlie tells me get right to work. I walk back in tonight.
So in that respect, they're definitely different than dogs. Dogs are very dependent on us. Cats are independent. They're able to go out and hunt for themselves. We've domesticated that out of a lot of them, but
they're not like a pack animal like the
not
the
at all.
dogs.
They're very independent,
right?
And so that in itself is different. Now their metabolism is different. There's certain enzymes and chemicals in a cat's digestive system, in their physiological functions that are different than dogs. I say many times, cats are not small dogs.
Right.
We treat them very differently. Conditions that they get, diseases, are devastating in many cases. But I've also said it's hard for the cats have 9 lives. They can survive a lot of things.
Right.
But it's necessary to keep that in mind when you're giving them medications, when you're feeding them. I mean, cats have to have certain nutrients in their food, in their diets, or they can go blind. They can have digestive issues. They can have kidney problems, and cats get stressed, and that is something that, many things cause stress.
Mm-hmm.
And what will happen a lot of times is the first thing you'll see is they'll be urinating outside the litter box, or they'll
sign of stress.
It's a sign of stress.
Okay.
And too often we think, well, that's going to be a bladder infection, and sometimes we just throw medications at them. And so I encourage people that have that, get them to your veterinarian, make sure that they don't have a urinary tract infection. And if you go in and you find out that they don't have bacteria growing in their bladder, you can rest assured it's going to be related to stress. And we have a way to try to help alleviate some of that and prevent that.
Well, you and I spoke about that a couple of weeks ago, is about anxiety and stress in animals. And, we should talk about it, especially on Cat Night, because the Charlie Tuxedo, who's actually on the bottle, is my own personal cat. Like I said, I think I'm his butler, you might say.
I'm telling you.
And I come home, it's like, hey, dude, you're home, feed me, and the water needs to be changed, and then please, you can go back your way. But, when I first brought him home, he was a rescue. And like I said, I just lost a cat, and we wanted to get another tuxedo. So we have, 2 cats. We have Charlie Tuxedo, and we have Angel Baby, and my son, Lauriston, named the cat Angel Baby. Who am I to argue with a 6-year-old? So
this is
our cat.
Thing.
Well, I think we probably all had a tuxedo cat at some point. I had one for 21 years.
Did you? But they're smart. But all cats are so smart.
They are.
But when we brought him home, he was just stricken with anxiety, and we're very loving. We're staying very calm around the house. But no matter what, he kept hiding under the bed or around the corner. And I come in there and he'd take off again, and I try to talk to him and make sure he has his food out, all the time. They're free feeders, so we do that. And still, I couldn't get him to calm down until I started leaving out the gift for life for him. And, he was neutered because, he's a rescue. Yeah. We know that's going to happen. So if you can talk again about what happens with cats when we spay and neuter them, and what's happening with this endocrine system, and why they are in total endocrine shock and chaos in their life with this anxiety, and what's happening.
Well, and that's exactly what we should talk about. Is the endocrine system goes into shock when you take and I say that it's pretty dramatic when I say that, but I do feel that's true when we take away those androgenic sex hormones.
Yes.
When we spay and neuter our cats, we're eliminating all but 1%, as we've talked about before in the dogs, of the cortisol levels in their body. And that plays an important role in cellular function at the cellular level. All organ systems are dependent on certain cortisol levels, the immune system as well. So it throws them off. It throws them out of whack. And then the other thing is that goes and affects the brain and their dementia-like symptoms sometimes. Cats will start howling and crying for no apparent reason.
Right.
And that's a sign of anxiety and stress. And I think that if you can normalize the endocrine system as a base, then you can solve a lot of problems with
And are we talking about shorter lifespans because of the stress and because of the lack of the hormones and the cellular receptors receiving these hormones to rejuvenate?
Absolutely. That's exactly what's going on.
What about other diseases can we see from this? I know that my Siamese, Tara, I had a beautiful lilac point Siamese.
Beautiful.
And I was there when she was born. She was actually born in my hand, and we bonded immediately. These cats are so special because even though she was still a baby and her eyes were still closed, when I walked into the room and she caught my scent, she would leave her mother and crawl over to the side of the box where I was. And of course, I'd always put her right back with her mother again. And then when she was 6 weeks old, I brought her home. And so Tara was very special to me, absolutely, beautiful. But when I finally created the Gift for Life and used the peptide technology on her, Tara lived for 24 and a half years.
Wow.
And the vets were freaking out, and they couldn't figure it out. And I'm trying to explain it to them, what the peptides were doing with the endocrine system, but they kept thinking strictly about, and you know which veterinarians I'm talking about right around the corner from us here. But they kept talking about, well, this is what we're drugs and this and that. But I also want to talk about with older cats, and I think it's really important, is that what I've seen is a lot of older cats usually die from kidney failure.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's probably one of the if a cat doesn't succumb to getting hit by an automobile.
We keep ours in the house.
That's what I'm going to say.
That's a good thing. Yes,
Yeah,
me too.
it's a very good thing.
And
Especially
plus,
in
we live
Texas.
around creeks,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
another thing that we've heard about
Yeah.
the coyotes and the bobcats attacking.
Oh, well,
the-
that's a very real problem. We live on a creek as well, and we hear them every night. And I used to, when I worked at the emergency animal hospital, we saw pets, cats and dogs that were mutilated and killed, injured severely, and then ultimately killed by wild animals in the areas like where we live. And so we're very cautious about letting them outside. So anyway, with the cats inside, it's important to maintain them, as we said, on a good quality diet and,
Right.
and fresh water and all. But as they age, there's going to be a lot of issues that occur, and kidney failure is definitely one of the most prevalent ones that we see.
Well, at the end with Tara, I mean, she was still bright and still had energy and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But at the end, I was actually having to take the needle under the
Right.
skin and hydrate her.
Oh, I set up a hospice in my house for my cat that I had for 17 and a half years for the
Right.
same thing. She literally had to be given fluids every day. And when we get to a point like that, that's something I learned from her for my veterinary clients over the years. I really try to make the call and try to help people make that decision quicker than I did for my own cat, because it's difficult.
Well,
and with these medications, these peptides we're talking about, can help to extend a life, and you reach a point where you extend their life, and it's quality of life that we're going after, and that's what we see.
Right, and when I finally had to say goodbye, she let me know when it was time.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. But with a lot of people, we're giving you extra time. We're giving that time where you can say goodbye and you can say I love you, and you can spend that quality time with each other, because so many customers have contacted us, and they're living in fear.
Right.
Because they're seeing their animals, whether it's dog or their cat, degenerating so quickly, and they don't know what to do. And I remember, in fact, I gave you that call one time, and we're going to switch over to dogs one time. There was Boris. Remember, he was on the ground, and he was throwing up bile, and I asked him to give me 48 hours. Well, in 24 hours, Boris was up running around the house again. We kickstarted that adrenal cortex, and Dr. Danny and I were talking about the adrenal cortex produces over 24 hormones, and this is exactly how this peptide works. When you do spay and neuter them, it goes directly to work with the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenaline axis.
Absolutely.
And this is what kickstarts them again, and it gives them that energy and that life back. And we do give you time back. So we hope that you do it from the very beginning of life, or if a cat has been spayed or neutered, same thing we say with dogs, or over the age of what with cats would you suggest?
I still say that at 8 years, they tend to become considered geriatric.
Okay, so at the end of that, spayed and neutered or over the age of 8, start giving the Gift for Life Feline. You'll love it. It's liver flavor, and they will actually run to the bottle. It's so easy to give. They'll be waiting in line. You give one in the morning, and you give one in the afternoon, and it's in the shape of a heart. So it's kind of fun to give to them because we love our animals so much that you're giving them just this heart that's actually going to extend their life and give them energy and help them with longevity and less disease is what we're seeing, every day. So, ladies, if you have any other questions about, cats, please email me at info@thegiftforlife.com, and I can get these questions out to Dr. Danny Cox or Miss Amy, or I'd like to talk to Jennifer right now, to you, because thank you for coming on our show.
I'm glad to be here. I love talking about cats.
Thank you. Yeah, and this
Any opportunity.
This show is tricky. We're talking cats today because we absolutely love them. I actually, one time, would love to talk to you if you ever get any Bengals in. I actually had a Bengal at one time, and it was a magnificent cat. But you do cat rescue.
I do.
I'd love to talk about that, but I also want to talk about, you have www.lovegenn.com.
JENN, but that's okay. Yeah,
Oh, excuse me, JENN, yes.
Yeah.
You can't spell.
I'm sorry.
I can't read my
It
writing.
looks like a G to me from up here.
Yeah.
I'm reading quickly. JENN, and so you do matching also. There's something I'd love to talk about all this right now. Then also do another show about how you also pair up with somebody that you're dating and how you have this in common. But let's talk about cat rescue because that's so important.
That's my hobby.
Oh, is it?
It is. I mean, it could be another job, cat rescue, but it's my hobby. It's kind of where I have that outlet. You can't rescue people. Adults need to rescue themselves and help themselves.
Right.
But animals can't. They're helpless. So that's what I got started in street rescue about 7 years ago.
With the feral cats?
Feral cats, yeah. Some of them are feral. I mean, that's a term everybody uses, but most of my ferals I can pet. At least now I can. So somebody gave me 2 to feed because a lady was sick that was feeding them. And then 2 turned into 7, then 7 turned into 15, and now we have 125.
Oh, my.
So we have 16 colonies in the Dallas area. So I learned most of my cat stuff and about cats doing rescue. I mean, I've seen so many amazing things, so many non-amazing things, so many heartbreaking things. And that is the one thing I could say, like spay and neuter is so, like, I know you guys are talking, it's kind of freaking me out about the whole endocrine system, but having said that, don't not spay and neuter your animals because that's the problem we have out there.
Because we're not doing our job with the overpopulation of cats. But so we say we have to do this or zootering with the cats and stuff like that.
Yeah, we can zooter cats too. We've talked on previous shows about zootering, which is the non-surgical sterilization of the male cats, and we can do that of the male dogs, and we can do that in cats as well.
So we agree with having to take care of this overpopulation problem because I've gone to creeks where people are out there feeding these cats and there's just colonies of these cats out there. And they're so loving and wonderful. But we also say if we do this because we're not doing our job, but let's also support them with the peptides and helping support that endocrine system since we've had to do these elective surgeries because of the overpopulation, because it's not their fault. But thank God we have people like you out there and Dr. Danny Cox.
Well, and we have to spay and neuter, to her point. We have to do that, or we
going
can
back outside.
That's right.
Yes.
And so we have no choice. But if we can give if we can supplement them with these products, it's going to extend their lives and the quality of life that they have.
Absolutely, and so if you're adopting, we want you to know about this, and please, do the research for the Gift for Life Feline. But let's talk. Where are your rescues, and how can people find out about this? And tell me more about how they can get involved in help, and how we can get involved in help. Because, with your older cats and stuff like that, I want to make sure I brought you a case today. And if you need anything else, please let me know.
We will feed them.
Yes,
we will feed them that for sure.
Okay,
that is wonderful.
You have senior cats then.
We do. I think some of my oldest cats are like 8 years old on the streets. I have a couple 10-year-olds. I have one that's got cataracts right now. That we've gotten. Yeah, I'm amazed that some of them have been able to stay alive. However, they are in an area in Uptown where we've only 1 year out of 7 have had coyotes that have come in. 1 year coyotes came in. Otherwise, there's just not wildlife around there, which is amazing.
Right.
Amazing. But yeah, I mean, I think the one thing people need to do is if they do see strays, how they can help is they can trap, neuter, and release them. And I know we're talking about spaying and neutering. I know you guys have a mobile service that does whatever the alternative to neutering and spaying or whatever. But the cats need to be fixed that are out there on the street.
I agree.
I mean, we don't just want to feed them and let them keep breeding, because that's where the problem happens. Is that more like I think they said a cat in their lifetime can have up to 60 kittens if they're outside, like 60. That's insane. That's and then they get hit by cars and all that crazy stuff. So we go out and we feed them every day. They get one meal a day. And like yesterday, it was pouring rain. I looked like a wet puppy when I got home because I was out in the pouring rain feeding these cats. But they're waiting for their meal. They're sitting out there and they wait. They hide behind a bush until I come, and then they run out to get their food.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, there was a family of feral cats. It was over off of the Walnut Street area behind a 7-Eleven. And every night people would be out there feeding them and stuff. And I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the group, but I know you can probably name some groups that actually had the traps. And we started putting traps out, taking the cats over and getting them spayed and neutered, and then they said, always bring them back to the same exact spot. Tell me why that's important.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because cats are very routine. They know their areas. If you take a cat and trap it, fix it, try to put it back somewhere else, like, oh, you're safer here, you're better off here, they don't know where they are. They'll run. Their first instinct is to be frightened, and they'll run. And it's like you dropped them off in China. They have no idea where they are.
Right.
So you always want to bring them back to their environment. They know where to hide. They know where to go and heal from their surgery. And they know where the safe places are. So
and will the other cats, I guess, accept them back in that area?
Oh yeah, and they're better off because the fighting stops when you neuter all the males. The fighting stops with the males. The females stop getting pregnant. The males stop fighting over them. Just kind of like the world. Like
Right.
A single hot woman, right?
Right. Oh, wow. So where would you suggest that we go? I mean, I know you're working with, and here in say, Dallas and other areas, if you want to adopt a cat, I walked in and saw Charlie Tuxedo and Angel and just fell in love with him, and I kind of knew that I knew. But I've had cats since I was 4 years old, and dogs since I was 4 years old also. So I've always had cats and dogs in my home. But what suggestions do you get if you're actually going to rescue a cat?
I have two suggestions. I think Pet Finder, first of all.
Oh, that's great.
Because all the rescue groups post the pictures of their kitties, and you can fall in love with them there. Feral Friends is a group that does the TNR, trap, neuter, release.
Okay.
So if you find a stray cat, you can get in touch with Feral Friends. They'll bring traps out or whatever.
Is that just in the Dallas area, or is that national?
I'm not sure if Feral Friends is national. I know there's what are some of the organizations that are national? There are trap, neuter, release people everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, you can look up TNR and Google it, and it might pull up some areas in your local area. If you're not here in the Dallas area, that can help you.
So
traps out and go that route.
So
and
anyone can get involved.
The SPCA is good. The SPCA is also good because a lot of our cats that we find, if they're friendly, the SPCA will fix them and put them up for adoption at the PetSmarts and such.
Okay,
and at the SPCA.
And there's a lot of other cat rescues if you're looking for a purebred. I've found out there's a place in there for Bengal rescue. And then what other? And then Siamese.
It's really important though that people try, and I know that you love the Bengals and all of that. Like all of the exotic cats, like Bengals and Bombays. Like I have a Bombay. They're high maintenance. Like they're a lot of work.
Yes, they are.
And people need to know that before they're really beautiful. But then people get them and they don't realize just how much work they are and how they're. My Bombay is a spaz. Like he is not independent at all. Like he's unbelievable. He's got more energy than 10 kittens put together, and that's a Bengal for you, right? That's how your Bengal was, I'm sure.
Oh no, we were just
They're
talking
intense.
about that for lunch the other day. I would come home, and he would get up on the furniture and start yelling at me and griping at me, and I would gripe back, and we were having this conversation, and he wasn't going to let up. And a friend walked in and go, "You're arguing with your cat," and all I could say is, "Well, he started it first."
He started it, yeah.
And
He won't stop.
And and then I pick him up and hold him and grab him, give him a little squeeze behind the neck and give him a little Eskimo kiss. pat him on the butt, and off he'd go. But when I came home late or if he was hungry, he wanted to fight about it.
Yeah, and they're feisty too. Like a lot of the exotic breeds are feisty. So
Well, yeah, he'd raise that paw up, and it's like he's doing a Bruce Lee, and I'll sort of whop.
oh
and
yeah, oh.
It's a big commitment to take on a
Exotic.
It
Yes.
really is.
And
It
you
is.
know, just like whether it's a cat or
Excuse
a
me.
dog, you know, part of the fun might be going to a shelter and just picking out what's there. But if you're the type of individual, and which is fine, that you know you're attracted to a certain breed, whether it's a cat or a dog, you know, please take the time and do some investigation and look up, you know, what that your particular breed, you know, their mannerisms,
Personality.
absolutely,
And health things, too.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, like I love English bulldogs. I love them, but I have found that they have a lot of medical issues and things like that I didn't know. And, you know, again, you know, I can say any breed of dog, any breed of cat, it's going to be the same thing. So please, if you want to go that route, and it's okay to do so, if you're interested in a particular breed, but do some time, take some time and do some investigation so that you can make sure you make the right decision, or else you don't want to be turning in your new cat or dog back into the shelter because you made a wrong decision.
Or people open the door and let them out.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
God, I
right.
can't
That's
imagine.
what they do.
Therein lies my conversation I have with every client on vaccination protocols. You know, oh well, my cat never leaves the house. Does anybody ever open a door? Okay, because it just takes a second for the cat to get out,
Oh yeah.
and so
They're very fast.
I think you need to make sure you
And microchip.
and microchip. That's another one.
That's right.
Right.
Microchipping is very important. So.
And your local vet can do that, or there's organizations in your town, wherever you might be, your community, your town, that can do that. Low cost vaccines, microchipping, they can do all of that for you. It is affordable. You just need to search out for the organization or the group that will help you do that. You can get it done. It's very important.
And Denny, how easy it is to microchip? All my animals have microchips.
Very easy.
Is it
very
just a
easy?
little
It's a simple.
injection?
It's a little ominous when people stand there and watch it because it's a very large needle to put that microchip in. It's just the size of a grain of rice, but it's a microsurgical sharp needle, so it's no more than a skin prick that they feel. And you put it in, it's instantaneous and it's done.
But at least if the cat does get out,
Right.
we have a chance to get it back home again.
Absolutely.
Because I had a problem with that. I just moved to a new home, and it was our first tuxedo cat we had, and we moved, and I left, and the maid actually left the door. Came home and found out that my cat wasn't on my desk where he was every night, and I happened to move just by a creek, and it's just heartbreaking to me because I love that cat, and it was brought up with my son since he was a baby. I'd find him sleeping with my son at night and keep him safe. And I put up signs everywhere, and I was out all night long. I mean, I was even got night vision goggles and looking for him in
You're a
bushes.
good
I
dad.
rented
Sure.
everything to find this cat because it was my responsibility,
Right.
Sure.
and it wasn't his fault. And then my signs up everywhere for blocks and blocks and blocks. And then finally somebody said, "Listen, you're not going to find this cat." And I said, "Well, why would you say that?" And he said, "Well, you're at the creeks here, and this is a runway for bobcats and coyotes, and nobody's ever found their cat here." So, to this day, I've never forgotten that. I'm extremely careful, and I make sure we chip. And I'm also make sure we don't have that mistake again. So I put screen doors on all my homes now. So that's a lesson that it's hard to learn, and it still hurts to this day.
Can I say two things? Because I think from a rescue standpoint, there's two things that about adopting a cat. If you're going to own a cat, don't let them outside
Yes.
for that reason, because there really aren't any safe areas. There are bobcats and coyotes
That's
all
right.
over Texas. It's crazy.
Right.
And the second thing is don't declaw your cats. I mean, unless it's a matter of that cat having a home or not.
Right.
It's and you can talk about the procedure, but it's not the greatest procedure for a cat. And you talk about behavior problems. Good gracious. I mean, we see so many in rescue that are returned for behavior problems, and so many of them are declawed.
Really?
Yep. You're going to disagree with me, aren't you?
Well, maybe to an extent.
But nowadays,
I saw it in your face.
you're actually doing lasering now, aren't
Well, that's
you?
what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
To an extent, laser is basically pain-free. Okay, they go home the same day, and it heals them as it's cut. So now there's also different techniques for doing declaws, And we've always done them with, in my practice, with a blade technique. So it's a very precise, quick, and easy procedure. You're not damaging a lot of the adjacent tissues. And we also have electrocautery in our practice, as many practices do. You know, the modern age of medicine has brought a lot of really neat toys or utensils, I guess, and these lasers are one way to do that. I understand your concern about that, and but I will stress that, you know, if it's a matter of whether the cat has a home or not, then I would encourage people to declaw them. And if you
But not the back ones?
Never take the back ones out. Okay. No, and I'll say this because, you know, the cat can still climb, can still get away. He just can't. In a fight, it's hard for him to defend himself, but he usually defends himself with his teeth and his back legs.
Right.
And so that's my only thing on that. And then, of course, you know, if they tear things up with their front claws, people have to teach them, you know, what to do, not just.
Yeah, they're those corrugated scratchers. Those things are amazing.
The advantage that cats have as far as a declaw, though, is, and I'm certainly not trying to debate this with you too much, but they have retractable claws. And so they walk with those claws retracted. So it doesn't affect their gait. It doesn't affect anything. It's just the time right after the procedure that is. And I would agree, it's difficult for them. But if it's done correctly, if it's done by a trained veterinarian, and if you can do it with laser or you can do it with a blade technique, and you know, it's. I was clawed in my eye at 10 years of age by my cat, and my son was clawed under his eye at 6 months of age, and that was the first cat I ever declawed. I was in veterinary school that day and went and learned how to do it.
Took care of that.
And I learned how to do it, and I said, I want to do it, and I want to learn why. I want to learn how to do it right.
Right.
And so I feel like, you know, there's a lot of botched jobs. There's a lot of things, like in any profession, any business, that can happen. But veterinarians in general are trained, and if they're don't feel comfortable doing it now, they usually don't do declaws. So, you know, but I certainly understand and respect your feelings about it.
Yeah, it's important then to research and make sure you send them to the right vet, and that's important too.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
And I never really believed in reincarnation, but I think Charlie Tuxedo has been reincarnated as an acupuncturist because he always loves to jump in my lap.
Sure.
And I love him. He lays there with me. We talk at night. But then all of a sudden, it's like, there goes the claws and stuff like that. And I have to remember it's time for me to get out and just do a little snipping. And that's nothing you can do.
Making biscuits on you?
Oh, yeah. But
that's
it's
love.
Like,
he's loving you.
It is love.
Yeah,
it is love.
but on this left leg, he's got me. I know.
And you know, they talk about things like, you know, cats have facial pheromones and all, and they'll rub on you.
Oh, he does.
And they want to leave their scent on you and around on the furniture and that sort of thing. And that's the good scent that they leave on the furniture. So, but cats for me live indoors. I've always had cats live indoors. Of course, my dogs do too. But you know, I'd put my kids out before I'd put my cat out.
Oh yeah. So you know what? So I think you all agree with us. You know, if we have the cats, let's keep them inside. Let's take care of them. They definitely take care of us. Absolutely love my cats. But if they are outside and you want to get involved, then you know, get involved in your city. See what you can do to help these feral cats, and let's feed them, let's love them, let's take care of them, and they do definitely take care of some rodents and stuff like that. I have some Franciscan priests that are friends of mine, and they always have cats. And I said, well, why do you have cats? And I said, well, Lauriston, for two reasons. Cats have spiritual eyes, and they can always see things before we can.
They can.
Absolutely.
And
Oh,
I
my
said,
goodness.
I said, well, the Egyptians said that's also the gatekeepers to Hades. And I said, well, what is the second reason? Expecting something so profound, and it was. He says, they're good, they take care of the rodents.
Mousers.
Yeah, they're good mousers.
Good
and
mousers.
I said, oh, okay, so great spiritual eyes, but they also take care of the rodent problem. Gotcha, Padre, no problem. So we always had the cats and loved them. So all my priest friends always had cats, and I think that's very special. So we absolutely, you know, love our cats. Miss Amy, what do we have in fashion this week? What about cats and their collars and things?
Well, you know, actually, you can take cats for walks. I've seen it done. Also, for those of you who want to take your cats out and may not want to do it on a leash, you know, get a stroller. You know, get on eBay or something like that. Go to one of your local pet stores and invest $50, and you can buy a stroller. And put your cat in there. And I know people who actually take their cats with them on trips and things like that, and they have strollers, and the cats, they love it. They absolutely love it. So it can be done.
But if your cat gets stressed a little bit, and we've seen this happen again, please start the Gift for Life for felines today. 1 chewable treat in the morning. They're going to love you for it. 1 in the afternoon. And the reason is because these peptides are highly effective, but they only stay in the system for 8 to 12 hours. So to stay in homeostasis, and Dr. Danny, homeostasis just means
Equilibrium.
equilibrium balance.
Balance.
So we give 1 in the morning with or without food. You give 1 in the afternoon when you get home. So it's a lot of fun to give them that loving treat, and you know that you're extending their life. And I think that's really important. I know that that's what we try to accomplish.
And it's not a harsh drug. It's not going to affect any of the organ systems in a negative way at all. I mean,
It supports it.
It supports it. It supports every organ at the cellular level.
So if you've spayed and neutered, and which we agree we have to because of the overpopulation, I think that we owe it to our cats to actually give the gift for life so we can help support those lost hormones. And then you really get to see a personality change because you really get to see who this pet and this cat really is. So many times when you start giving, the peptides and they start getting that hormonal support again, and instead of being in decline, then all of a sudden you start seeing, oh my gosh, look at the personality, and they're running and they're playing, and the joy that you can actually see. And you see that fire back in the eyes.
Yeah, you don't want a couch potato. Cats have notorious for gaining weight and things of that nature. And
Does it help with that? Does it help?
it will help with that.
Yeah.
It'll increase their activity, their metabolic rate. It'll help with curbing conditions such as diabetes and things that follow also being spayed and neutered. So I do want to emphasize you have to spay and neuter your pets. There's just different options, ways to do this, and supplement this to help them live longer, happier lives.
Because there is no other drug
No.
or supplement out there. GenoStem Performance Labs, we created this peptide technology, and we want to make sure, because I started working with pets before I ever started working with anyone else with this, and they're very special to us. So this is what we have. We've changed the way that pets are having to age, and we're changing the side effects from spaying and neutering that we must do. So, you now have it in your hand. You can make the choice to extend your pet's life with less disease. And Jennifer, we're almost out of time, but if you can say anything to everybody out there about their cats and rescue and stuff like that, tell them how they can get involved, and also how can they contact you?
Well, okay, so the one thing I wanted to bring up is there's a lot more scaredy cats than there are scaredy dogs, I think. And I love that you said that this product was good for that. So I feel like
Major
that would
changes.
we keep talking about the spay and neuter, but I feel like that's a big thing to talk about is using that for the scaredy cats, because there's a lot of people that have them.
Yes.
But as far as rescue, you can Google rescue organizations in your area and go that route. I mean, that's
Okay.
Wherever people are, there's always something. However, up north, there's not that many stray cats up there because of the cold winters. They just don't make it. So.
Oh.
Yeah, but there's always ways to get involved. Always ways. Even if you love cats and you can't have a lot of them, there's rescue groups where you can donate money to help animals like we talk about that we save and rescue that are in need. You may not be able to take them in, you may not be able to rescue them, transport them, but there's always a cat in need that could use some money to get some bedding, right?
That's absolutely.
Always something
We
you
know
can
how
do.
many you get.
Always something
we
you
get
can
we
do.
get quite a few.
There's always a way
Yeah.
to volunteer, even if it's at your local shelter.
And that fraidy cat issue or scaredy cat issue is very real. I mean, that's the anxiety that we talk about. Everything in the world can shake up a cat. Just, they love boxes, but they don't like you packing boxes. They don't want to move. They don't want
Right.
to change, to her point earlier. The kids come home from college. They're excited to see them if they know them, if they've been there in the house. But if it's a new cat that's been in the house since the child went to college and they come home, it can freak them out because this is their domain. And
Right,
they don't know
right,
these
right,
people.
right.
You have guests over it. It stresses them out. Other animals in the household can
You
stress
can
them
bring
out.
in groceries.
Bring
and
it
they're like,
exactly. Yeah. What's that?
something new is in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to check your.
So they get
grocery.
really stressed out.
You know that,
Thunderstorms,
right?
they get affected by thunderstorms, and just like
And the 4th of July is coming up.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, that's a biggie for all the animals. I
Yeah.
encourage you. We'll have a show on that. We'll
Okay.
talk
Yes,
about
we've got
that.
time for that.
Yeah, and I've spent thousands of dollars on cat toys, and I found out that a box,
Paper
A
bag.
paper
or a
bag.
paper bag, when I come home from the store, I
Yeah.
always put it right down.
We had a cat. That Amy put on the the bar stool in the kitchen one day.
Right.
And for 2.5 years, the cat lived in that box
In the
every
box.
day. We never moved the box.
We never moved
fair.
the box.
That's where the cat lived.
We never sat on our kitchen bar
Excuse
stool
me.
again to eat
Nope.
because the cat lived in the box
Took it
sitting on
over.
my bar stool.
Was that because all the other dogs are around
Absolutely.
and that's his domain and don't come?
He just dominated that kitchen. That was his whole area, and
Oh, my gosh.
it was amazing.
Yeah, at home it's the kitchen, and then it's the weight room around the corner because it's the only place in my house that has carpet. And at nighttime, I come here, they're in there practicing cat food with the claws and stuff, and I give out a little wahoo, hey, stop that, and they stop for a few minutes, and they want to see if I'm still listening, and they do it again. So it's absolutely hilarious.
Cat trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
Oh,
get
I'm-
cat trees.
I do, but they do that, and then they fight, and then they run into the next room, and now because when they're on the Gift for Life and they're taking it every day, their energy levels are up. They also put on more lean muscle mass, and so they're running and playing and ambushing, and then it's nap time. And then it starts again, and who's going to run and get to the cat food when I get there first because I have to fill it up, even if it's down just an inch. They're letting me know, then they want to make sure. So you guys know what it is. We love our cats because they're just absolutely awesome, and I couldn't imagine my house without them.
I put a bird feeder outside the window to make them happy. Okay?
I did too.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
Oh, my
Squirrel
God.
goes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like entertainment.
Oh yeah, it's an entertainment for
I'll
them.
have
the
to
whole
do
time.
that because we have a little bunny that lives in the bushes right beside my desk in my home, and so I'm out there working. The bunny's right here, and here comes Angel, here comes Charlie, and now they know they can't get to it, but they've got to stare, and it's going. So they're absolutely a blast. So if you love your cats like we love ours, then please give the Gift for Life every day. Let's help them with that anxiety. Let's extend their lives, and you're going to be so happy that you did. If you go to www.thegiftor.com, you can read about the technology, and you can find out more information about Dr. Danny Cox, the Pet Vet, and also the Shot Spot, and everything else that we do. So, we absolutely love Dr. Danny. I believe he's one of the best vets in the United States of America, and I will say that boldly, but he's such a, he cares. And so these shows are really important. We're hoping you're getting the information that you need. So if you love your cat, start the Gift for Life. And if you want to get involved and stuff like that, it's fantastic. I've done it, and it's so rewarding. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for what you do. And today, I actually brought you an official The Gift for
right.
Life cap.
There
So
you
while
go.
you're out there in the rain and stuff like that, you can wear one.
I did this last night.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to do something special. If the first person who can email me at info@thegiftforlife, just put your name and your address on there and put the hat up there, and I'll send you this Gift for Life hat. We just came out with them, and I think you'll like them. It's got a little paw print and remind everybody, and people can ask you, what is the Gift for Life? And you can share with them exactly what we do. And I'm going to ask a favor. Jennifer, would you come back on with us? Because we started discussing something about relationships, and this is your specialty. Because I'm going to admit that I have 2 cats, and of course I have Big Max, my big dog. But I've actually been made fun of by women and other people that I'm a man, that I have cats. Well, I think cats are cool, and I love all animals. I mean, well, you've got a baby possum now. That's another from another show.
Yes.
But I felt kind of offended about it and stuff like that. And I know I'm not going to have a relationship, as a single guy, single dad, with anybody who's going to make fun of my cats because I don't understand the intellect and what they're trying to do. So, would you come back another time soon and talk about relationships and how pets can bring us together and how this can, help our family unit and our relationships and things like that? Can you give us a little talk
Absolutely.
about that and tell us?
Absolutely. I'll talk relationships with you any day of the week.
Okay, great.
Anything about them.
And please reach out to Jennifer, and I'm going to get it right this time. It's www.LOVEJENN.com. Please reach out to her. And, guys, I think we've had a great show this week.
Oh, it's
talking
been
about
fun.
cats and to all of our cat lovers out there, I'm so sorry. We love our cats. We all have them and stuff like that. We just got consumed about the peptides and what we were doing with the police canine units and, of course, the drug-sniffing dogs and our dogs in general, stuff like that. But I promise we're going to do more shows about cats because this has been a fun show.
Yes.
And I want to talk about more what we can do next time about help saving these cats and some other cat diseases that we can start looking for. So, look, we'll see you next week. This is The Gift for Life live, and we love you guys. See you next week.